house on the lakefront. It's small, charming, and the most extraordinary view, but it is the most beautiful, peaceful place I've ever been. And I've waited a long, long time for you, Anna. Wait till you see how the sun glistens on the land. So it's not far from following the sun.
Next weekend on ITV, something very different indeed. A weekend of murder and mystery with your host, Michael Aspel.
Sherlock Holmes, Sexton Blake, Lord Peter Wimsey, Hercule Poirot, Miss Marple. Who was that Dutch one? Oh yeah, Van der Valk, yes. Inspector Morse, Columbo, he's back again. Taggart, Maygrey, Cagney and Lacey, even Dixon of Dock Green. Yeah, there's hundreds and thousands of them. It's the great British obsession, isn't it? Murder, mystery, who done it? There's millions of books on the subject. There's hundreds of thousands of films and television programs. Why are we so obsessed with murder mysteries? Anyway, it's time to add a new name to that list of super sleuths, Michael Aspel. Sounds good. I'm here on a murder weekend, and what's more, you can join me. You can play the detective and possibly solve the crime. More of that in just a moment. We've arrived. Actually, I've been invited here to Lainston House by my old friend, Ronnie Lawrence. He's doing well for himself these days. His daughter, Camilla, is about to marry the Honourable Thomas Lainston. At least I hope he's honourable. Come and meet the family. Ronnie.
Oh, Mike, how are you? Alicia, come here. He's here. He's arrived.
Oh, Michael,
Alicia.
lovely to see you.
And
I'm
you.
so pleased you could come.
Thank you.
Camilla, don't you?
Camilla, wouldn't have known you.
Sprung up a bit, eh, son?
Looking smashing.
Yeah, of course she is.
Great. It's going to be a good day, I hope.
I hope so. Money spent, know what I mean? You all right?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have a freshen up and I'll see you later.
Catch you for a drink. All right, son.
Actually, I know that all will not go well for this family and their friends. This, after all, is a murder weekend. Murder is the name of the game. And it's a game that I shall be playing with 24 other guests. They've played it before and they're good, but you may be even better. You may solve the crimes we put before you before anyone else. This is your chance to become an armchair detective. What you must do is watch the murders unfold, make your notes, decide on the motives, and then after the fourth program, you ring us and tell us who done it and why. And then some of you will be invited to join the survivors in the studio for the final program, when all will be revealed.
The location is set, the guests have arrived, and the murderer is waiting. Don't forget, your vital guide to the mystery can be found in next week's TV Times. Make sure you're watching next Friday at 8 for the beginning of Murder Weekend, or you might need an alibi.
Soon on Anglia, Charles dances Ian Fleming from Goldeneye with love.
How many do you smoke a day, Commander?
70, maybe 80.
Drink?
Occasionally.
How much?
Half a bottle to a bottle.
Wine?
Gin.
The name's Fleming, Ian Fleming. Goldeneye, film drama, soon on Anglia.
Roast leg of British lamb. Bung on some basil and slam it in the oven.
There is a group of people who make a special point of visiting Sellafield. They see what goes on in vital parts of the plant. They are able to ask questions. They watch demonstrations of the latest technology. And they are given entry to Sellafield every day of the week, every week of the year, without having to give any notice. Who are these people? Everybody and anybody.
Thank you for being a friend. Travel down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal and a confidant.
Sometimes man's best friend seems almost human. That's why new Friskies Buffet doesn't look like a dog food. Nourishing meaty chunks in thick, tasty gravy.
Thank you for being a friend. I want to thank you. Thank you for
New Friskies Buffet, because man's best friend is almost human.
Colman's whole grain mustard. Cracked mustard seed, wine vinegar, honey, herbs, and selected spices. A delicious combination of taste and texture that adds a very special touch to everything. Chicken, pork, cheese, even sandwiches.
Excuse me, the captain wonders if Oh, thank you.
Colman's whole grain mustard makes everything a touch more special.
Ha-ha! All aboard, me hearties, and play Yo-Ho Bingo in the sun and the news of the world. Yo-Ho Bingo! There's over £1 million more to win. Win cash for Sunful lines. Ha-ha! Win cash on every Sunful house. And shiver me timbers, there's over £30,000 to win every game. Hell, that's why Cole's a treasure chest. Play Britain's biggest free bingo, shipmates, and you'll be hooked. Yo-Ho Bingo this week in the sun.
Make your money grow. Plant it with Legal & General.
Lila Paws Praline Crisp, Corn Crisp and Alpine Milk Chocolate Bars. Lila Paws from Milka, the most tender chocolate temptation.
Ginger biscuits, mint, orange and Lancashire cheese. Have you got that?
Any way you please it, choose it.
Sunday nighttime on Anglia. B is found unconscious and woe-betide someone in prisoner cell block H at 5 past midnight. Mayhem with Margot at 1 when celebrities discuss anything and everything. Grandfather's Gold is the prize, but beware the strange vengeance of Rosalie in the Late Late Picture Show at 1:30. Pick of the Weeks at 3:30, and at 4, Unrest in India with Mountbatten, the Last Viceroy. Programmes through Sunday night on Anglia.
You're watching Anglia Television. Now over to ITN.
The news from ITN.
Beirut burns as a new battle rages for control of the city. Ulster's chief constable goes to the heart of a Republican rally. Ovette in tears as a row over money rocks athletics. And the safari girl's father goes back to the scene of her death. Good evening. Christian forces say they've beaten off a major assault on a strategic mountain stronghold overlooking Beirut. Local police confirm that General Aoun's men successfully defended the town of Souk El Ghab against the Syrian assault, the first full-scale ground attack for 5 months. In Beirut, a relentless artillery exchange has continued all day, battering the city with shells and rockets. Thousands of civilians forced into underground shelters now face starvation. ITN's Brent Sadler is in Beirut.
Key installations in the Lebanese army's defence of East Beirut and its surrounds have been taking a terrible pounding in the latest battles. This is the Babda presidential palace from where the Christian-led Lebanese army is holding out against the Syrian bombardments. The buildings are literally being torn apart. It has been systematically targeted with such ferocity that it's been impossible to get there for 3 days. This is the war front at the Battle of Babda, where there is massive destruction and deadly artillery fire coming from all around. Thousands of shells are pouring into this area, where the Lebanese army commander, General Mishaaloun, is trying to save himself, the army, and the Christian enclave. The Lebanese army, heavily outnumbered and outgunned, has reportedly attempted to launch counterattacks. Hardly anyone in the Christian areas is openly challenging the costly war against Damascus. Costs so high that Beirut is 3/4 empty now because it's too dangerous to stay. More and more of those who remain are being blown up.
They think that if they destroy our houses, they could destroy our will of liberation that General Aoun is leading, but nobody's scared of death anymore. We are with the general 100%, and everybody is with him. Nobody's scared anymore.
Israel, through its warplanes, is closely watching all fronts as Syria gets more deeply involved. The battle this week has taken on epic proportions, including heavy outgoing tank fire from Hezbollah areas in Beirut's southern suburbs. This district, say Shiite sources, is where the hostages were and might still be held, their plight now being overshadowed by the destruction of Beirut. The Lebanese, meanwhile, are wondering more so now than ever before who can save them from this firestorm. Brent Sadler, ITN, Beirut.
IRA supporters will picket the bases of security forces in Belfast and across Northern Ireland tomorrow to mark the 20th anniversary of the troops being sent in. Today, Northern Ireland's top policeman, Chief Constable Hugh Annesley, turned up in the middle of a huge Republican rally in West Belfast. He said that the event was exceptionally orderly and had been well organised by Sinn Féin.
A crowd of more than 6,000 made this the biggest Republican rally for years. Held annually, it commemorates the anniversary of detention without trial. But this year it was also used as a platform for the Troops Out campaign. A surprise visitor, the RUC's Chief Constable.
Clearly, the new Chief Constable must see the policing arrangements and be satisfied with them.
Sinn Féin politicians led the mourners the 3 miles down the Falls Road. It was a well-ordered affair, which in the crowd's view marked 20 years of armed struggle against Britain. At Sinn Féin headquarters, it was perhaps on the orders of the Chief Constable that RUC Land Rovers moved back to allow more room for the crowd. It immediately eased the tension here as speakers talked of the year since 1969. Some said nothing had changed except the people who were still fighting back. And Jerry Adams said that fight had gone on for 20 years against a sophisticated machine. We're as strong now as we ever were, he said, and we won't fail. Torrential rain broke up the rally, the departing crowd being urged to picket security force bases in the province tomorrow. Simon Cole, ITN, in Belfast.
Wiltshire police are still holding a man in connection with yesterday's knife murder of Brian and Ursula Randall. Their daughter Sarah is in a serious but stable condition in hospital. Police say she fought valiantly to save her life, but she has multiple stab wounds.
It was Sunday service at St Michael's as usual this morning. The Randalls were regular worshippers here and prayers were said for the family.
Sarah Randall in hospital. We rejoice in the care that she's received and that she will live.
Sarah's condition in hospital is said to be stable. She still doesn't know her parents are dead. At the police incident room at Trowbridge, the murder inquiry is continuing. even though one man has been arrested.
The mere fact that we have detained somebody who's assisting us with our inquiries means that the inquiry is far from complete. We have very many other people to see.
Police say the man they're interviewing is known to Sarah Randall and is in his 20s. They say it's too early to speculate on possible charges. First, they want to interview Sarah, and she's too ill. Jim Buchanan, ITN, Trowbridge.
British athletics has been stunned tonight by allegations about special payments to the runner Steve Ovett. Athletics chiefs have launched a full-scale inquiry. Ovett claimed that he was offered an appearance fee to take part in a race with his biggest track rival, Sebastian Coe. With that, and news of a crisis for rugby union and a victory for Nigel Mansell, here's Mark Austin.
Ovett broke down in tears in front of millions of TV viewers after the race in Birmingham. He said British officials had lied to him and he claimed that he'd been offered cash to run. But tonight the athletics authorities and ITV Sport, who televised the meeting, both said they put no financial pressure on Ovett. Ovett was visibly distressed before the race. He claims he had been offered appearance money to take part in the much-awaited showdown with Sebastian Coe, and when he discovered Coe hadn't been offered any, he'd refused the cash inducement and threatened to pull out on principle. Only under considerable pressure, he says, did he finally agree to run. The race itself was as dramatic as the build-up. As the last lap approached, Steve Crabb stumbled and almost brought down Coe.
Elbows and Crabb has fallen, and there's the first drama that was unexpected, and Coe was involved in that as well, and Coe has suddenly gone back about 6 places.
But Coe then made an astonishing recovery. At the start of the final lap, he was 8th and apparently out of the race. As he came round the final bend, he was challenging for the lead.
To win, but win he could do here as Horsfield comes up, and Coe is going to win in the most dramatic fashion imaginable.
As Coe crossed the line victorious but in obvious pain, Ovett finished at the back of the field and then broke down in tears over the row about money.
I felt as if I was being bought, so I turned it down, and because of that I got into a lot of trouble. And I wasn't really ready to run today. No. But the people were here. I'm sorry. I felt sometimes the sport's got to be taught a lesson, and people aren't really that strong, especially kids coming through. And there's some people in this sport that are trying to use it. They've got to be stopped.
He felt that he didn't want me to find out subsequently that he was being paid to run in a 3A's championship and me not having been offered anything. And he's only gone up in my estimation for doing it.
But tonight athletics officials denied Ovett had been offered any cash inducement.
No money was offered to Steve Ovett or Sebastian Coe by myself, or to my knowledge any official of the 3A's.
Ovett left the track, leaving behind him a mystery and a cloud hanging over British athletics. The controversial rugby tour of South Africa is on after all. Tonight, ITN can reveal that the former British Lions captain Willie John McBride flew out of Heathrow to manage the tour. It's reported that 2 England internationals have accompanied McBride. There was angry reaction from a Commonwealth Games official this evening.
We had hoped that Willie John McBride, that famous character in rugby, would have honoured the Gleneagles agreement and thought of his fellow sportsmen from within the province of Northern Ireland. Obviously, he has not done that, and he has gone off to South Africa in complete breach of the Gleneagles agreement.
Britain's Nigel Mansell has pulled off one of the best wins of his career in the Hungarian Grand Prix in Budapest. His Ferrari left his 2 main rivals, the McLarens of Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, trailing in 2nd and 4th for Mansell's 2nd win of the season. Graham Bowd at ITN reports.
A disappointing practice time had left Mansell in 12th position on the grid, but the race itself was to be one of the most brilliant of his career. On a twisting circuit where overtaking is difficult, his Ferrari quickly climbed through the field. When Patrese and the yellow Williams dropped back after leading for more than half the race, Mansell swept into 2nd place behind Ayrton Senna. Then came a really breathtaking manoeuvre. With Senna held up by a back marker, the British driver took them both together. By the end of the race, he'd increased his lead to almost half a minute, a victory which delighted the many Ferrari fans who travelled from Italy. Mansell now stands 3rd in the drivers' table and still has an outside chance of becoming world champion.
So a great win for Mansell, but it's a day that's been dominated by another row over money and so-called amateur athletics.
The father of Julie Ward, the British tourist killed on safari in Kenya, has returned to the spot where her body was found. Julie was last seen alive at the Masai Mara Game Reserve nearly a year ago.
It was the beauty of the Masai Mara Game Reserve which first brought Julie Ward to Kenya, a beauty which attracts tens of thousands of tourists on safari here every year. But for Julie's father, returning today to retrace the last steps taken by his daughter, it's a beauty he can no longer see.
I don't like the place at all. It has a strange feeling to me. I would prefer never to come here again.
This gatepost is the last place Julie was seen alive, driving away in her jeep towards Nairobi. But the first few days of evidence at the inquest into her death has already cast considerable doubt on that official version. Close by the San River near the border with Tanzania, a bouquet of flowers has been laid in Julie's memory at her last campsite. 10 kilometers from here in the middle of the bush, her butchered and burned remains were discovered. John Ward believes he knows the identity of her killer, a killer he's convinced has been protected to safeguard the image of the tourist industry here.
I do think that originally the intention was that let's try and keep this quiet if we can, because it's bad to have a tourist murdered in a national game park.
When the inquest resumes next month, it'll be the first anniversary of Julie's death, an anniversary that John and his family will find hard to bear. David Chater, ITN, at the Masai Mara Game Reserve in Kenya.
Australian aviation experts are trying to work out why 2 balloons flew so close that they collided, killing 13 people. It's the world's worst such accident. The balloons were on sightseeing trips near Alice Springs. A ship bound for Liverpool with Canadian chemical waste on board has been turned back to Canada. The cargo of the Soviet-registered Nadezhda Obukova includes PCBs which can cause cancer. It was due to sail from Rotterdam for Liverpool tomorrow. Finally, 30 newspaper boys and girls in Burnley who say they're fed up with being paid a pittance have joined a trade union. They've become the youngest members of the general and municipal workers, and they hope they'll now get a better deal.
While Burnley still sleeps, 15-year-old Colin Smith has almost finished his news round. He's the